at times of volatility and ups and downs and ins and outs and stuff like that, you guys, you need to look for a company. I mean, I know when I joined the business, that was my number one thing was I wanted a company that's going to be around for the long term. Looking at our CEO who's been around for 31 years, you can say this guy's been around. He loves new skin. He knows the business and he's working closely with all of us. And so, Ryan, we appreciate your time today. We'll let you get to your dog walking or dog feeding, whichever one it is, as soon as possible. But tonight, maybe tell us a little bit of your background, a little bit of what your vision is for the future, because we got a group of mostly women here, right? We're going to work on the men. We're still working on the men. We're still getting them going, but of people that are absolutely committed and dedicated to new skin and love this company. And so they'd love to hear a little bit more from you. So, Ryan Napierski, take it away.
Absolutely. Well, Kyle, thank you so much for that kind introduction, Kat. Thank you, everyone. It is so good to see you all. But listen, there is no better place and there's no better time spent than with each of you. I truly mean that, and that goes for those that I know individually, like Eileen and Kyle and Kat and others. But all of you who I have not yet met in person, I just want you to know how special it is for us. Anytime at the corporate side, we get to spend a few minutes with amazing people like you all over the world who are literally aligned in being a global force for good by empowering other people to improve lives. I mean, that is the mission of this company. As I said, I've been in the company for 31 years. I started not when I was 12, Eileen. I started when I was 21. I was working my way through school, and a once good friend, he recently passed a few years ago. Scott Schwartz came in. I was selling shoes in retail, and I was a pretty good salesman. I sold him 6 pair of shoes. And afterwards, Scott said, Ryan, you really need to come down and get to know Nu Skin. I had no idea what Nu Skin was, other than I called it the Darth Vader Tower in Provo, Utah. It looked like Darth Vader's helmet. I walked in the doors. It felt different to me. I couldn't tell you why. I sat in Scott's office here, 21-year-old kid sitting in the office of a senior vice president in a company. I had no idea. And Scott introduced me to a world of good. That I have just loved every day since, even in the hard days, the hardest of days. It's been an amazing journey, and it's an amazing journey because of people like you. As I said, I'm getting ready to fly off to Japan, where I lived for about 10 years with my family. And I can tell you that this world is much smaller than we think in terms of alignment of ambitions, of attitudes, desires. Everyone in the world, whether I'm in China, Europe, South Africa, wherever, everyone has the same common goal for our families. It is to live better lives, and that's what Nu Skin's all about. So, I did want to take just a few minutes and connect with each of you on a couple of thoughts on the top of my mind, and I hope they resonate for you. And then, if there are questions, as Kat said, maybe drop them in the chat. I won't be reading the chat while I speak to you. I can only do one thing well. I see some of you able to do more than one thing. That's not me, but I'm happy to answer a few questions as well. And I'm going to start out actually with a conversation I was having yesterday with a group. Unfortunately, there was another direct sales company who had declared bankruptcy last week, and I don't like to talk about other companies' failures. We're focused on building a future moving forward. But I received an email first thing when I woke up yesterday morning. I was getting ready for the gym, and it was from a good friend and partner of ours over in the UK. And she said, Ryan, is there any way you can jump on the phone? I met some amazing people. And I said, I'm happy to do it anytime. So we set up the call. By the way, it was 1:30 a.m. her time, 1:30 in the morning her time, and she said, "I'll do it anytime." And so we jumped on the call, and I met two of the most beautiful people that I've had an opportunity to meet with. This is a young couple who, in 2018, decided to venture into network marketing, and they thought they were joining a company with a very bright future, and a company that had really promised them the world of where they were going. And by the way, I happen to know that company well. I don't think anyone was being untruthful in any way. However, of course, as the world progresses and business moves on, unfortunately, this business closed its doors last week. And this couple was coming to me with a group of literally thousands and thousands of people who are now homeless from a business perspective. They don't know where to go. And we started to talk about, if I was them as a 30-year veteran in the industry, what would I be looking for in the next opportunity for them? And I really thought about that, and I came up with basically three things I would look for. And I would like to talk about those three things because I think they're very relevant to all of us. The first one is transparency. The second one is timing. And the third one is transformation. So three T's of what I would look for in a business and a business partnership. So starting out to begin with on the first T, which is transparency. So many times in business, we get into business with people who, and we don't, because we've never worked with them before, we've never met them before, we don't know them. We don't know their background. We don't have an understanding of the business model or how long or how they do business. And so my advice to them was always look for a company. If you're going to do business with anyone, understand who your partner is. You wouldn't marry somebody without taking them on a date. I wouldn't go as far as maybe doing a criminal background check, but that might be something you want to do at some point if you're getting serious with someone. At the very least, you're going to get to know them, and you're going to get to know them in a personal level, much more than just what's on a website. And yes, for those of you that are on Tinder, I hope that you do more than just looking at the website. But what you want to do is get to know your partners well. One of the blessings, and frankly, as CEO of a publicly traded company, I don't always say it's a blessing because there's a lot of hoops to jump through, and there's a lot of public work that I do and with boards that frankly I don't enjoy as much as I enjoy these types of conversations. But the one thing I appreciate about being a publicly traded company is that we are a transparent company, that everything that we do, we publish. We have good years and we have bad years, and we have good decades and we have bad decades. That's business, that's life. As one of our co-founders, Steve Lund, talks with me about all the time, he's the chairman of our board. He says, Ryan, business is about problem solving. You're the guy to solve the problems this decade. And that's how we look at it. It's just about business. But in your businesses, each of you are independent business owners. You're going to have up times and down times. What you need to be able to rely on is a company who is transparent with you, that is a partner with you, and that you understand what we talk about, what we say is what we do. And that was a saying that Scott would pound into my head all the time. We do what we say what we do. We're not always going to do everything right, but we aspire to do the right thing, meaning we will make mistakes. Our website won't work, something will happen, but we always work to fix it. So transparency to me is paramount in a partnership. The second one I talked with them about is timing. That anytime we get into business, and we've always heard that the right time, the right people, luck, whatever you would have it, timing is a critical part of being in business. And you want to find companies that are, from a timing perspective, are looking at new and great opportunities. Now, this is where it gets interesting. Most people think that the best time to join a business is when that business is in a skyrocket mode. However, what I know about business now after living through this for 30 years, and I've learned from our founders over 40 years, businesses will go up and they will come down and they'll continuously cycle through. And that is not what defines the business. What defines the business is how that business recovers after difficult times. The world is always uncertain. The economy is always struggling. We now have tariffs to deal with. Before this, it was mass inflation. Before that, it was COVID. Before that, it was the internet blowing things up. But the reality is, in every problem I've ever seen our company face, there is always a silver lining. There is always a bigger opportunity that comes out of that. And that opportunity comes from the third T, which is transformation. So long as companies are always focused upon innovating and transforming the business that we are today in order to service or become the business we will be tomorrow, we will persistently be building towards a better future. Nu Skin has had a history from day one of being an innovative company or a transformational company where we are persistently looking for the next great product, the next great compensation system, the next great system or technology that we can invest in to put into your business. Now, there's always a downside with transformation, which is change is scary. Change is disruptive. Change causes us to lose the cyclical patterns, and we have to recadence and recalibrate. But I look at change or transformation very much as an essential part of life and of business. If we don't change, if we don't transform, we find ourselves to be dinosaurs at some point in time. And so it's critical as a business partner that you understand and you know that one, this is the way we've operated for 40 years. And frankly, this is the reason we're still operating 48 years later when we have companies that are much younger closing their doors because they don't understand how critical it is to transform the business persistently, to build through challenging times, and to grow stronger through that. And so as I talked with this couple, it was heartwarming for me to talk with them, to listen to them, and to understand how vital a business partnership truly is, and how vital it is for you all who are in business for yourselves, who are building teams, putting your own credibility on the line, to know that you have a partner who is experienced, who has been through it before, who has struggled, who has had challenges, and who has recovered and always grown stronger. I met with I don't know if Maddie's on the phone here, so I'm looking through this. I shouldn't have even said her name
I'm
here, but
here. I'm here,
okay.
Ryan.
Matt, so Maddie, I'm gonna if it's okay, Maddie and I were meeting yesterday, talking about we talked about so many good things, and I just want to tell you how beautiful Maddie and her family are, and that her two daughters and her husband, and we were talking a little bit about the cycles of business, and Maddie came in. She had sent me a long list of opportunities. So Maddie, my apologies for being too transparent here, but she sent me a list and she said, Ryan, if you can fix these 12 things, my business will take off. Just fix these 12 things. And she was wonderful in saying that. And so we had an opportunity to sit down and talk with her. And it was a really interesting experience because I came into the discussion thinking, okay, I need to give Maddie a pep talk, right? Maddie joined the business in 2019, and business was great, right? From 2020 to 2023, no matter what we did, everyone succeeded, right? I mean, the business, I call it the COVID bubble, which everyone was locked in their homes. Nobody was buying retail. People were packing packages with their kids and sending them off, and it was just this beautiful time in business. And so anyone who joined the business circa kind of 2019 to 2022, 23, kind of came into this business at a time when it was really hard to fail, right? It was really hard to not grow during that period of time. And here we are now, we're going through that for those folks, their first challenge, right? Their first business. And I was talking to another leader a couple of weeks ago, and I said, congratulations, you are now officially a second generation business owner. And she said, what do you mean? And I said, I mean that every 7 to 10 years, New Skin, for the past 40 years, we go through a transformation period. We go through a regrowth period in our business. And those leaders who are able to make it through that first transformation, they grow to their second, their third, their fourth. So I start to explain, this to Maddie, and I draw this graph out how businesses kind of, they go up and then they come down, then they go up more, and then they come down a little, then they go up. What's interesting about that graph is every time a business cycles, the difference in building over time with the same company is that anytime your business cycles up and then comes down, which it will come down, right? Business is never a linear line. You're always going to have ups and downs in business. It's just like life. But the great part is that the down is never deeper than the first down. In other words, you're not starting from zero. Everyone that started your business at New Skin, you started at zero, and you found your first customer. You made your first sale. You found your first affiliate. You made your first brand rep. You made your first title. Well, guess what? Then you go through that cycle, and then you come through that down. The good news is, unless you quit, you never go back to zero. Even if you just have one customer, you're not starting from zero. And so you build again. And the next time that down comes, the next few years later, you'll hit another down. But that down will be higher than your last down. And if you stay in it long enough, this beautiful journey becomes cyclical, and you realize that it is just part of life. Eileen is on the call here, and Eileen is better suited to talk with you about that. And I hope she'll do a whole podcast on the cyclicality of this business and how beautiful it becomes every single time that you build again, because you never start back from zero. And I contrast that discussion to another discussion I had a few weeks prior to that of a group that had come from another company who had gone to zero. And one of the girls in that group, she had her background, and she said, I'll only build it. The background said something like, this is the last time I will build this, the first and last time, something like this. And somebody else in the group said, well, this is the 30th time I have rebuilt. And I thought, oh my goodness, like, she wasn't old enough to have been in business for that many cycles. But what I realized is, she said she kept jumping from company to company, hoping that she would find something else. And so through the course of that discussion, and in the politest way that I knew how to say, I said, the interesting thing is, if you never quit, you'll never start from zero again. And that's such, I think, a lesson to life. If we don't quit, we will never start from zero. So as I'm having this discussion with Maddie, and I'll close up here, it was funny because she was patient with me and she watched me draw the cycle. And then she goes, Ryan, I'm not going anywhere. She said, I haven't lost anybody. I'm not here for it. She didn't say this, but the message was, I'm not here for a pep talk. I am here to understand what this next growth run is. She said, I've already been through it. In 2019, my business went up and it went down, and I had to rebuild there, and the next time was even better. I just need to hear what is going to come next because that's what I'm focused on. And we then had this discussion of how important it is for each of us as leaders. And I don't care whether you have one person in your group, whether you have zero people in your group, and you're just leading your family, your children, your neighbors, you are a leader. And we talked about how important vision truly is. That when we have big vision, small problems, small vision, big problems, when we have a clear vision of what we aspire to achieve, we're able to navigate these ups and downs in our business, understanding that as long as we never quit, we never go back to zero. We build again with all those lessons, with all of the learnings that we've had towards that next surge and the next surge. Now I can tell you, and then I'll be quiet, that I travel around the world. I meet with our team elites around the globe, and every single one of these people that I meet with, these hundreds of top tier leaders in our company, they are vastly different. They are as different as dogs and cats. I don't know. They're just vastly different. But there is one consistency, and there's only one consistency amongst them all. And that consistency is they literally never quit in their journey. They persistently stayed focused on their vision. Even in the up times, the down times, they never quit and they kept going. And so long as that's the attitude, that up to up to up, there will be downs, but your ups will always come and be bigger than the last down. And that's how you'll continue to grow. And so I would just love for you to keep that in mind. If you take anything from this message, just know that this business that we're in is special. This business is proven. This business works, but it is also a business of work, and it's a business of challenges. You are in business for yourself, but you're not by yourself. You have this amazing group of people. You have amazing uplines. You have a company who truly, and I can tell you this, that genuinely seeks for your success. When you're down, if there's no one you can call the company, call your account manager, call your leader. Just know that you can keep going, that this is more important than the temporary setbacks that you might be experiencing, whether that's in your business or in your personal life. This business matters. So with all of that, I will stop, Kat, and I will turn the time to you if there are questions or anything that I can touch on.
Keeping my eyes on the chats, and it's just been so full of thank you, thank you, thank you, and amen and preach. And so I'm not seeing any questions.
Ryan, maybe this question, as our team is so focused on the social media side of things, and we've had so much success in that area, and some of the innovations that Nu Skin's coming up with, not only product, I guess the product side have been wonderful, whether it's future serum, uplifting cream, revamp, stuff like that. But I know a lot of energy is going to the Prism IO, and the vitamin side of things. What's your thought on that in the future? It's not coming for a while, I know, but it's exciting to me and to us.
Kyle, I'll answer your question. Hopefully, you can all hear me over the booking. Absolutely, Prism IO is going to be an amazing innovation, and we should do a separate call on that completely. In addition to that, I'll tell you there are two other areas we're looking at. Women's health. You're going to see a lot more in women's health coming about. So I'm not going to spoil Buck and Ricky's time when you speak with them next. But women's health is a major focus, and the third one will be, and I don't even know if I should say this, but superfoods. We're looking into superfoods, and so that's probably all I'll say, and probably because I can't hear myself think with my dog. So, but I appreciate you all, and I'll jump off so that I don't disrupt your call anymore. But just know I appreciate being on this, and I look forward to seeing you all. I hope in person very, very soon.
Thank you so much, Ryan.
Take care, you guys.